side number 5, which is this one, okay, which is the accordion page, and I'm just about to die cut the top page. So I'm just going to go and pop this through. Is that better, Susie? Thank you. It was the only way of doing it. It was to just sort of come off and redo that. So I'm just putting that through the die machine. Hopefully that's through beautifully. Wonderful. And we'll just carry on as if nothing happened. And yeah, right, okay, so there's my top page. Okay, and then for the decorative bit here, I've cut it both sides. So obviously when you come to do this, just make sure that you right, where did I put those bits? That's the end bit. I've had them here. Oh, there they are. It's going to cut as well. So I'm going with this one, Beautiful World. Travel through the beautiful world. So I do believe I cut it the same. I think I used the same die. I just moved it down a fraction. Yes, I did. Okay, so I'm going to pop this one. We just come up there a little bit so you can see a bit easier. And again, I'm just going to line this one up, and I'm lining it up right to the edge. I'm just making sure that this is evenly spaced. I'm just going to stick that on there. I'm just going to pop that through my die cut machine, and then we can crack on and get the accordion page done. Here we go. Right, okay, so let's just peel that off gently. So is my page, so that will come in just a fraction on there, so that looks okay. And then I'm just going to do the same. Now this is the back. Now because this is the back, if it was directional paper, I'd have to be careful which way I put the die. Okay, so I'm going to cut it. It doesn't matter on this particular pattern because it's all the dotty pattern, but it's just making sure that when I fix this onto the page that it will be the right way round. So just bear that in mind. I'm just going to put that through. Like so. Okay. So that's the front and the back of that page. While we've got the dies out, so that's that one for that page. We're just going to put that to one side. Also going to cut out the little magnetic holder, which I've got here. Okay, so I've got 2 of these. Now these again are Cool Cats Craft dies. And for the life of me, I can't remember what they're called for the minute. It will come back to me, but I'm just going to pop that one on there. Now these are the patterns that are going to go on there, so I'm just going to pop that one on like so, and I've got to pop that through the machine. Here we go. Hopefully those circles are okay on there. And oh yes, they've worked out fine. And then I'm just going to do the last little bit, and then I'll come back and show you what I've done. Okay. Just cutting these out. Now you don't have to put this little magnetic holder on there. It's totally up to you what you want to do. But I just thought it gives it an extra little interest with it on there. So, okay. I'll just come back and do that. So here we are. So these are my little bits. Okay. And that's to make that. Okay, so I'm just going to put them to one side for the minute because we'll come back to those. And right, we need to score our larger piece of cardstock for the accordion page. So we are going to score. Let's get the scoreboard. Okay, so we're going to score on the 7.5 inch side. We're going to score at 1/2 inch. Then we're going to score at 3 3/4 inch. And I do believe that is it. No, and the 7 inch on that one. So we've got 3 score lines coming down. Okay. Oh, bless you. Thank you for the heart. Whoever sent me the heart. It's not the ideal way of doing a live, but you know, we are here and we are doing it. So whatever happens, it is what it is. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to fold on the bubble. Okay. Let's get my little score on the bubble. And then these 2 little folds here, I'm going to fold one on the inside and one on the outside, because when we come to stick these down, and that's to get our little accordion thing going, actually both on the outside, my mistake. So you should get that nice little W fold, yeah, because that one's going to stick down, and then this one here is going to have the top one put on. Okay, but we'll turn that around. We've got it up the wrong way. There we go. And that will go on like that. So what we need is some lovely red liner tape. And one thing I have forgotten is my scissors. Let me just grab a pair of scissors. I have to say, it's a good job that my craft room isn't all the way down like the bottom of the garden or something. Right, scissors, okay. So let's put some red liner tape on both of these outer tabs here. Right, hopefully everybody can see what I'm doing. We're just going to snip that on there like so. Snip that, and I'm going to do one on the other side. So who's actually crafting along with me tonight? Who's up for doing that then? I'm assuming Susie, are you crafting along, Deborah? So just give me a little thumbs up if you are, and obviously, as always, if there's anything you want me to go over, then just give me a heads up. Right, okay. So let's get this onto our base page, which I know I picked up and brought out with me. See, I was beautifully organised in my little craft room. Okay, right, here's my page. Right, we'll put that to one side. Okay. Now, what we're going to do is because we want the pocket or the flap to go, hold on, which way am I doing this? Turn it over that way. Okay. So I'm going to stick that one on first, so then I can see which direction I'm going. I'm going to line this up. Oh, come on. That's it. I might have to get that out of the way. Right, okay, so one of the end bits, I'm going to line that up. I could put a little bit of glue on there, but I'm just going to go for it now. I think we've got to the stage where the way things have been going this evening, we just need to crack on and get it done. Okay. All right, so you can see there's my decorative flap on there. These are the other two bits. So this bit here, we are going to stick down, not right up against the, you know, where the score line is. We're gonna come up just the other side of that. Okay, making sure that it sits in line with the edge of our page, and we're going to stick that down as well. So we'll just get that done. Okay. And it's just, I'm just going to open that out a bit so I can see what I'm doing. Oops. Right, okay. I'm just going to pop that on there, making sure that it's within that line and it lines up with our base page. Mirrors, damn it. Right, okay, and then that's our accordion pretty much done already. Okay, and then obviously what I would do is ink round the edge here and do some faux stitching and stick that on, and then I would do the same with my underside as well. So I've only just decorated the decorative flap bit, okay, where we've done the die cut on there. Okay, but that in itself is that page, and then you would, let's just come to here, and then you would add your little photo mats and stuff to go on there as well. Okay, so I'm not going to worry about sticking my decorative bits down for the moment, because I'm conscious that, you know, unfortunately we lost a bit of time and I want to get through this, and then if we've got time at the end I'll go back and do that, and then you can see what it's finished. Okay, so I'm going to put that to one side. So these little magnetic holder, okay, so what I've got here is I've cut out two of these. Now, if you haven't got anything like this, you could, you know, to do a circle or anything, you could just cut a strip, okay, and just have like, you know, like a rectangle or a square or something like that, so it's sort of just joined together, and you can put that in. But I'm just going to get my magnets and my lovely glue. Let's just get this out. Okay, I'm just going to put a bit of glue on there, and I'm just going to stick one magnet on one side. So I'm going to the center, and I'm just going to stick another bit on the other magnet on the other side. Now, just before I do that, I just need to make sure which way this is going to go. So I'm just going to, where are we, pop this on so I can just see which way the magnet is going to. Right, okay, so it catches that way, so I need to fold that over and stick that down on the other side where the glue is. But I'm trying to go more central with that, like so. And then I'm literally just going to add loads of glue onto the other piece, which will go around the edge. I'm going to go all around the edge here. I want to make sure that this seals properly, like so. I'm just going to stick that on there. There we are. Right, I'm just going to sandwich it. So I've made a magnet sandwich in between the two circles. I think it's like one of their little closure ones. I will go and find the name of it. I can't remember it off the top of my head. I apologise. I've left all my notes and everything in the other studio bit. Right, okay. All right, so that will now hopefully fold over, and it should magnetic hold it in place, which it does, okay. And then I've just got my circles here, which I will then stick on the outside. So I'm just going to ink around these so I can just stick these circles on so I don't lose them. So I'm just going to put a little bit of ink. I'll go around and do all my faux stitching a bit later, but that's going to pop onto that one. And that's going to pop onto that one, so I know which way this magnetic closure is going to work. Okay, let's just tuck those to one side, add a little bit of glue. So while we're moving on with this, how is everybody? Has everybody had a good week? I know the school, some of the schools are back already. I know some are going back next week. You know, just wondering how everybody is doing. Right, okay, and that is my little magnetic closure, okay, and that will eventually sit on that page to hold those in place, my little things, okay, so you can just sort of see that. Okay, well that will go over there. There we go. It's holding that in place. All right. So that's our little magnetic closure. So I'm just going to put that to one side. Right, okay. Just going to give this a little burnish just to make sure that they're nice and flat. And then we'll come to decorate that bit later. Okay. So our next page is our die cut that's going to go into our patterned paper, and then I've put like little photo mats and I've just tucked those inside. Now this is one of the circle pierced slots. Again, it's from Cool Cat's Craft, and the bit of cardstock that I'm going to use for this is this one, Lookout World. Now as you can see, I've already inked around it and done my faux stitching, so I just need to put this through the die cutter machine, so it should fit through on this one better. Right, okay, so I'm just going to pop that on there. Now the circle die, they do different sizes. This is the smaller one of the two, and as you can see, I'm just going to bring that so it just comes down and around to that corner. And I'm just making sure I've got that evenly spaced. I'm just going to pop that bit of tape on there just to hold that in place as we put it through the machine. Now, if you haven't got any of these dies, you could just do a straight slot if you wanted. Just cut yourself out a tiny little slot, or if you've got a circle die, you know, you can maybe do half. You know, sort of go around and put half of it through, but obviously be careful of your edges because the whole circle die will cut off the whole thing. Or you could actually maybe use a protractor or something like that, or draw a semicircle and then cut that in as well. So if you haven't got anything like this, there are other ways of doing that. So let's just pop that in. I'm just going to put that through. Hopefully this has cut this out. Yes. Right, okay, so I'm just saying, so as you can see, the die, it actually cuts out like a little channel, and it gives it a really lovely little perforated edge to it. Let's just gently tease that off there. Oops. It probably cuts better than what I've done. I don't need that die for now. That will go to one side. Okay, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lift that up. I'm just going to ink round that edge, and I'm going to come in and ink round that edge as well. Now when we come in to stick it on our page, so this is our page 5, so on the other side this is page 6. So when we stick it down, we need to be aware that obviously that needs to be left open. So the best thing to do is just to get a little pocket, a little photo mat, tuck it right in as far as that pocket will it will go into that sort of cut, and then when you turn it over you can see where not to put the glue, okay, because that's where that little photo mat's going in. So I'm going to glue all the way up and around and just along this edge here, and then stick it onto that page. So here we go. Right, I'm just going to take that round. Okay, I'm going to come round that bit because I want to make sure that that sits beautifully, and I'm just going to take that over like that, and I'm just going to take that little mat out now. I'm going to turn that round, and I'm going to glue this onto our page, and I'm just making sure I'm leaving enough black edge all the way round the page like that. And that is our side number 6. Okay, right, thank you, Mick. We might have a visitor from my cat, because now I'm on the big table, he thinks it's his opportunity to come and say hello to everybody. So I'm just pre-warning you. Oh, you've been enjoying the sun, have you? Well, I would like to have said we've enjoyed the sun, but unfortunately, we've had a load of rain today. So it's not quite what we were sort of expecting, but there we go. Anyway, so there we are. That's our side 5 and 6 done. So I'm just going to pop that to one side. So side 7 is going to be our diagonal pocket. Okay, so just showing you on here, and then we've got the background paper. So let me just grab that together. There's my little page. This I do believe is for side 7. Yes, side 7. Okay. I made a little tag to go in there as well. The cat is suitably sitting on everything out of shot here. Right, okay, so let's crack on with that. So what we're going to do is that we're going to use our die to cut diagonally across this square, and I think the cat's sitting on the bit that I needed, thank you. But bearing in mind that we will have some score lines to go in. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the score lines in first, and I can see where that edge is coming to. So here is my score line. So what we're going to do is on your square, you're just going to come down and do 1/2 inch on one side, and then 1/2 inch on the other side. So that's creating where we're going to stick it together, that sort of triangular corner on there. Right, I'll just click that out the way. And now, when I put the die on here, I can see where the score lines are, where I'm going to line up the die to sort of cut across. Now, what I did, I came in just a fraction, because I will be trimming these little bits off as well. So just come in a fraction just to try and get that as evenly spaced as I can. So we're just going to tuck that on there. I don't think this is going to go through my baby bell, so I'm just going to put this through, I don't know, what do we reckon? No, it's not. I'll just put it through the other machine. Right, okay, so let's have a little look. Okay. Right, so as you can see, that is now cut across and given us that lovely decorative Mexican shape. And then my patterned paper, which is going to sit, and it's going to come in about 1/4, well, 1/8 of an inch all round where that score line is, but I can see roughly where that's going to go, the die. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pop that on the back. I'm going to bring that down so I can see. I'm just going to, well, I would if I had a pencil, I was going to put a little mark there Let's do that with me nail. Needs must and all that. Right, okay, so I've now put myself a little mark there where the edge is, so I can now line up that along that edge so that when I cut it, hopefully it will come in right across. So fingers crossed this is going to work. So let's just hold that in place. Right, I'm going to cut this one. Now obviously if you're not using the decorative sheets, decorative whiskers and things like that, then you would just cut straight across diagonally on your patterned paper as you would on your black cardstock, okay, to create your lovely triangular diagonal pockets. Right, let's just pop that through. And I'm hoping this has worked. There we go. All right, we'll take that off. So here it is. Where's my little pocket? And I'm hoping that that has just cut in enough to come in down there. So it's not too bad. I just need to trim off a little bit off the bottom here. But overall, that's not too bad. I'm quite happy with that. I will trim that off and do that. Okay. But I wanted to show you what I did on the pocket. Okay. So finally then, to put this one on, we're going to put some red liner tape around the two sides where we've scored. I'm going to get the scissors. I'm just going to trim that one off and trim that one off, like so. Okay, right, so they're on, and then what I'm going to do is like I do always with any pocket, I'm going to mitre across, so we cut up to where those score lines cross over, come the other side, just give it a little wonky bit. Okay, and then I'm going to fold that back on there, and you can see I've got a little bit of the background showing, but that's fine because we're going to trim that off. And I will just come in and cut that at a diagonal right to where that point is there, and I'm going to do exactly the same on this side, like so. Oh, move your tail out the way you can, thank you. Right, okay, so now we've got that organised, we're going to get our base page and we're going to tuck this in on that corner like so, but again you're leaving that scored hinge there, so we're coming just in a fraction from that, like so, okay, and then we'll stick that down. So let's just do that. I'm going to add just a little bit of glue, just give me a little bit of wiggle room. So I'm just going to pop that in on the bottom there. Right, okay, and then I can now peel off this other bit. So these pages come together quite nicely, and the album doesn't take that long to put together. I'll just stick that down. That went down a little bit wonky. There we go. That's better. But that's gone in beautifully there, and then I've got my cardstock that's going to go in on the back. So that will just get glued in and stuck in nicely, and then obviously I will ink and do my faux stitch around there, and then that will sit on that bit as well. So let's just pop this bit in. Like so. There we are. I'm just going to tuck that in. So it just comes over and it covers those folds And I'm just making sure I've got a nice even edge of the black going round. It's all straight. There we are. And that is our page 7. I did pre-cut a little tag, so I'm going to tuck that in there because that's what's going to go in there. And then we're just down to our last page. So on our last page is our little flap bit, and then we've got our little back bit there. But this has got a magnet in it because when we close that, it holds that down. So when you put in your photo mat, it will hold that photo mat in place. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. What we're going to do next. Okay, so just pop that to one side. Now I've got, here are my, here's my little flap. I've got a load of cards here I've got to use to decorate, so I'll just pop that to one side. Let's pop that little photo mat out of the way. Whoops, apologies for that, not the camera there. Right, so side 8, okay, we are going to score down this side here, okay, because we need it to create the flap bit for the, so that it's going to open and close. So we're going to score on the 3-inch side. Let's move my little clips out of the way. So here we are. That's a 3 inches there. So we're going to just score the 1/2 inch coming down on there. Clip that out of the way. We're not going to need that anymore. I'm going to put some red liner tape along here. If I can find the end, there we are. I'll just pop that on there while I've got that to hand. And we're going to do the edge strip coming down like so. So again, I make sure I butt that right up against that edge there. Okay, so I'm just going to stick that down on there. And this should go through because it's a little bit smaller. Oh, there goes the cat. That's his feeding machine, in case you're wondering what that was. That's what he's been waiting for, really. Okay, and we just get our little baby bell. I call it baby bell. It's not a baby bell, it's a baby blue, but I call it a baby bell. And I'm just going to cut that through like so. So there we are. So we've got our edge, and like we did for our page for the accordion, I've got a couple of pieces here. Now I wasn't quite sure what I was going to cut with. Now this I want to have on the background, and this is going to be my inside because I actually want the paper to sort of follow its way through. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that when I put that edge on there, that's going to work. I need to bring that down, come down just a fraction from that edge. So let's just cut that. So because this is the inside, I need to sort of do it back to front. And I'll just make sure that that is as evenly level. Now, one tip I will tell you, that if you are using things like this, because when I wrote the pattern, I sort of tried to give you rough sizes for your card stock, okay, to sort of cover what you had if you didn't use the like the little whiskers and that. But if you are using these, you might find it easier to have a slightly bigger bit of card and then sort of cut it out and then trim it down. Okay, right, so that's going on that side, so that will fit just nicely in, because then on the inside when the other cover comes through, that's going to match up beautifully. So that's what I was after for that. Okay, and then we're just going to do the same. Now I wasn't too sure what I was going to have on the front really. This has got a nice like little postage stamp, so I thought, do I go with the aeroplane? But I think I'm going to go with the postage stamps. So I'm just again going to come in a little bit with the die. Just pop that on. I'm going to stick that on there and put that through like so. There we go. And we're just going to take that off, and I'm hoping that is going to fit. Yes, look at that. Oh, I'm a little close to that edge, but you know what? I could take a very fine slither off that. So let's just do that, and then we are good to go. So let's just get our ruler. Just going to take a tiny slither off of that. Make sure it's straight dip. There we go. Right, okay. Right, and then that should fit much nicer on there. Beautiful. Okay, so I'm going to ink round here and stick this one on first. I can go in and do all my faux stitching later. Okay, and just get some glue. We're just going to add a little bit of glue on there. Like so. And I'm going to pop that on like that. So now I know which way that flap's going to go. Let's move that up just a fraction. Just put that slightly out of sync. Come on. There we go. Right, okay. Hi, Janine. Is it Janine or Janina? Apologies if I've said it incorrectly. Right. Okay, now that needs to come down. Right, I'm going to leave that on there for now. Right, now I'm going to fold back that flap, and I'm going to stick this onto the edge of the back of our page 7. Okay, so that's just going to stick on the edge there. I can see I've stuck that on wonky dip, so I'm going to take that off and redo it. Do you know what? It's one of those evenings. I don't think anything's going right tonight, but you know what? We will soldier on, and I'll come back and deal with that later. Right, let's just get the album together. Okay. I think sometimes you just have an off night, and I think tonight's that it. Okay. Right. I'm going to stick that on like so. So that is now our flap that opens, okay. And I need to put my little magnets on there. Now I realise I've left my other tape behind. Bear with me just 1 minute, I'll go and grab that. Right, and she's back in the room. Oh dear. I know I should have had a glass of wine earlier. Like you say, it's one of those evenings, absolutely, Susie. Honest to goodness, I don't know, you know, it is what it is. First the internet wouldn't play ball, then we've had to move everything everywhere. I've left half my stuff back in the craft room, but you know what? We are getting through it. Okay, so we've got a magnetic closure coming across. So obviously it's got to come on the inside of our flap. Okay, so that when that folds over, that's going to hold on to that there. I'm going to get my other little magnet. I'm going to pop that on there. I'm going to add a little bit of glue. and I'm going to fold that over. I'm so going to have a go at the internet company tomorrow, that's for sure. It's been on and off all day today. Right, okay, so I've just popped that on there, and I'm going to add a bit of tape there just to hold that in place. Okay, now I've got my little piece already cut ready for that, so that can go in. This is going to be the other bit that comes in here and sticks in just nicely, she says. Fingers crossed, yes it does. Just sticks on there because I wanted the wording to be able to come across the two, like the back page and the flap when you open it up. So catch the trade winds in your sails, it says, which I think is rather lovely. So I'm going to ink round this. I'll stick it down, and like I said, I'll do all my faux stitching later. But I will do it. I promise I will do a completed video so you can see what I've done and it's all finished. So let's stick these on. So actually I'm going to stick this bit on first because it'll be easier to line up the other page to this. There we go. Right, okay, so I'm just going to pop that in like so. I've just got that coming down a little bit on that edge. There we are, and then that one's going to come in, whoops, that way round. Okay, and we're just going to come in like so. Right, and I'm just going to tuck that on like that, and I'm just making sure that that lines up, this page lines up with this page at the top and everything, which it does. And that's the inside done. Okay, there's my little tag that I had in my paper range. Okay, and would you believe it? I think we've finally got there. That's all 8 sides completed. We've done all our pages. Woohoo! Honestly, I think after tonight I'm gonna have a nice glass of something cold and refreshing, I think, just to just to make sure that we're all good to go. So yeah, but there we are. Oh, thank you for the love. I think I need it tonight. Okay, right, putting our little album together. Now, as you can see here from last week, I've made my little photo mats and I've just tucked them in to my stacked pockets. Okay, we'll talk about little photo mats in a minute. So I've just put those in there out the way. So now we've got our pages. Now this is the time where you can make your decision whether you want to move pages around or not. Okay, I know some of these aren't completely decorated yet, but don't worry. Oh, and now we've got light gone out as well. We're doing really well. We'll just carry on. Okay. Can you see the screen? Can you see it? Do you know what? I don't know. I think, have I done something really bad, you know, today? The world is against me. The world is against me, right? But we carry on. We carry on. Okay. At this point, you can make a decision which way round you want to put your 4 pages. Okay. You don't have to put them in the order that I put them in. You can chop and change them around. So if you wanted to put your acetate pocket at the beginning, you can do that. You know, you can swap them around wherever you like, depending on your own personal preference. Okay. So I am going to keep it in the same order just to make life a little easier. I think I need it a little bit easier now because things are just going completely bonkers now. Now we've run out of light as well. I'm doing really well. So my first pocket was the one with the vertical pocket on. That's my first page. And then we had the little flap coming up underneath like so. Okay, so and that's got the magnet. So I'm going to put that one on first. Now, when you line up your pages, what you're going to do is where that score line is and where the edge of the paper is, it's going to hit that. What's this thing? Which is me in before we made them, so don't worry, that's absolutely fine. Before we made them, so dictated the order for me. That's absolutely fine, Susie. Really doesn't matter. It's your own personal choice. But I just like to give people the options if they want to change it around. So this first page is going to go in. So I'm just going to bend back that hinge both ways, so it's got a bit of flexibility to it. And because I'm gonna stick it on like that. Okay, I need to put my red liner tape on this side because it's going to be joining it that side. So let's just stick this on and we just carry on as normal. Like nothing has happened this evening at all. It's been beautifully organised. Everything's gone perfectly. Let me just carry on. So right, we're just going to snip that. I'll show you in a minute. There we go. Right, okay. So you can see that's where I've put the red liner tape. All right, and because that is going in on that way, so that is our page 1, that's our side 2, that's where the tape needs to be to stick in on that side. So let's pop this on. I am going to put glue on this because the way this evening is going, I think, yeah, I need all the help I can get. Okay, right, and I'm just going to, what I do is I line up the top and the bottom of the page to the top and the bottom of the hinge. I butt that right up against so it's not going anywhere, and then I literally just fold that so that that hinge then sticks. Okay, and there we are. That's our first page in. Okay, just give that a little. All right, now the second page, which was my acetate page, I'm just going to fold that backwards and forwards just to give me, it's going to come in on that side. So because of that, I need to put the red liner tape on there. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put it on that side. So let's just pop this on like so. There we go. I'm just going to run that down there like that. Just going to peel that off and I'm going to turn that round. So this is now coming onto the other side of where we've just stuck that first page onto that hinge. I line it up, the top and the bottom. I'm just going to give that a little nudge like that. That's it. And then that's that bit in. I'm just going to give that a nice squeeze like so. And that is our first 2 pages in. This is what I love about this album. It is so, well, any of the albums that I design, it is so easy to put your pages in. You know, that I have seen some hinges where you've got to have like an open pocket and you've got to try and slide it in. But I like life to be a little bit easier. And yeah, so although after tonight I don't know what I'm going to be doing, but there we are. Right, this is the accordion page. Okay, can't quite see it there but there it is because I haven't put anything on there. So because this is coming in this side of the hinge, it needs to go, the red liner tape needs to go on where you've put your circle cut. Or you might have done a diagonal, or if you didn't want to do that, you don't have to. You could just put a nice patterned piece of card on there, you know, paper or what have you. So we're just going to snip that. Just make sure let's just trim that off just a little bit. I've just come over the edge. There we go. Right, okay. Just run my fingers down on there. I'm going to peel that off. And again, I'm just going to turn that round. I'm just going to line this up again with the top and the bottom of the hinge to and on the page, and then just bring that up to that, give that a good firm run along there, like so. So that is our third page in, and then our final page is going to be on the diagonal, where the diagonal pocket is. That's going to come in, and that's going to come across and stick on that side. So I'm just going to give that a little fold, make sure that goes both ways on there, and then I'm going to add my red liner tape on here because that will then attach like so. So let's just get that done. And then we are looking at our closure for the outside and decorating the outside of the album. So let me just run that along there. That keeps, right, I'm going to peel that off. Okay, and I'm just going to turn this round. And again, I'm just going to put that against, so the top and the bottom edge line up with the hinge. I've butted that up. That's now going in, and that's done. And that is our pages in. So it's coming along quite nicely now. I know we've had a couple of, oh, hold the camera steady, Jen, a couple of hiccups, but we've got there in the end, which is all we wanted. Just to get there in the end. But yes, okay. So our last piece for tonight, because I will go back in and just finish decorating off these other bits, and like I said earlier, I will show you the completed album once I've done that. I'm just going to put my little magnetic clasp on there just to hold that accordion page in place. So that's all good to go. Right, our closure. Okay, now the closure, which I have put somewhere. Where did I put it? In amongst everything else. Let's have a little look. Sorry, bear with me just a minute. Honestly, I was beautifully organised outside, but it's all gone a bit pear-shaped. Right, okay. I might have to, oh, there it is. I knew I'd put it somewhere, I just couldn't find it. Okay. Right, so this is the covers, so I'm going to pop those to one side. So this is going to be for the album closure, okay? Because this is going to come in and it's going to wrap around. So let me just show you on the original album. So here we've got this, it just comes up and we've got a magnet underneath there, and it just sort of clasps that in place. Okay, so we need to put the closure on first in order then to put the cover paper on, because we've got the magnets and so forth. Now for this bit I used the little pockets, the little Mexican pockets. Okay, now I have got a big one and a small one. I'm just trying to think which one I used for this. Let me just double check. Right, yeah, the smaller one of the two. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that to one side. So we can now get our little thing. So what I'm going to do, before I do any scoring on here, I'm just going to put our paper underneath there, or our die, and let's just take off a little bit of tape there. I'm just going to rest that up against that edge like I've done with everything else, making sure it's even as I can, like so. I'm just going to stick that on there. Right, so now I can put that through the die cutting machine. Okay, and we'll just do that. I'm just going to pop that through. There we go. But if you haven't got a die and you're not going to do a fancy edge, you could corner round this bit, okay? And I've just realised I've completely messed up because I've put it through the die cut machine all the way through, which I shouldn't have done because now I've cut that. Told you it's not my night tonight. Right, we'll start off with another strip. Here we go. Right, I'm going to put this on. Oh, honestly, Deb, really, perhaps you should just give up this evening. But no, we're going to carry on as best we can. Right, let me cut another piece actually because that's not going to be wide enough. Right, so our closure is, what were my measurements for that? Where's my ruler? It's 2¼ inches. 2¼ inches. All I'm going to say is don't make this mistake, okay? Oh dear, oh dear. Right, where was I? So I was putting this on here and I'm just going to come down that first bit. Okay, so I just get the edge and then I can trim off the cardstock. It happens to the best of us, I know. So I'm just going to put that in and I'm just going to take that through that first bit. Yeah, you just heard, and then I'm going to come back. Right, okay, so now you can see that I've got that bit there. I've got a couple of little bits there, so I'm just going to trim them off and take that right down. Yay, well done, Susie, got your pages in. Hopefully you're having a better night than I am. Right, okay, so I'm now going to just trim down that last little bit where that die cut. Okay, and I'm just going to come down just a fraction on there. Let's make sure that's nice and straight. Come in a little bit. Right. Okay, all right, so there's my end bit of my closure. Okay, so now we're going to do our scoring bit. So let's get this scoreboard up. Now for the scoring on here, because I will be cutting the cardstock that's going to come in just a fraction there, so you have already got measurements on your sheets for this, but somehow I'm not sure what I've done with my sheet. Let me have a little look. Is it on here? Closure. All right. 6 inches by, right, score on the 6 inch side, 1 3/4 inches. Okay, I found it. Right, okay, 1 3/4 inches. Oops. 1 3/4 inches, and the other part is 2 1/4 inches. Okay, 2 1/4 inches. So that's now going to give me the bit that comes over at the front, and that's the bit that's going to go around the edge. These are the bits of cardstock that I've pre-cut that should fit nicely on there when I come to put that together. I'm just going to snip this off because this is longer than 6 inches, but it was just what I had to hand. But it's going to be fine because it's just going to tuck in on the other side, so we'll just take that bit off. Okay, so let's get our album, making sure that we've got it the right way up. Okay, this is going to come, this back bit here is going to come, stick to the back, and where the score line is where it's going to rest on the edge of the album. Okay, so that's where it's going to come in on there. So trying to sort of centralise that. So I'm just going to add some glue on there. There we go. Right, I'm just going to, making sure I've still got it the right way up. I have, and I'm just going to tuck that on there. Now you could get a ruler out and measure this, but I'm sort of going by eye a little bit on this bit, like so. Okay, and then that will come round, and I've left quite a nice sort of wide gap mouth to it, because when you put photos and other bits in, that's just going to start to fill up and everything, and that gives you that allowance. Okay, so now we've got that bit on, we need to put more magnets on. So here are my little magnets. So I'm going to put one on this side of the flaps. I'm going to do this before we decorate it. Pop that on there. Oh, there's my little bit of black tape. Come here, you little rascal. There we go. And I'm going to drop that one on there. There we go. Right, just make sure. And then I'm going to drop the other magnet on top. Pop. Add a little bit of glue. There we are. Okay. And that's going to come round. So when I fold this over, I want to make sure that the score line here sits on the edge of the album. So that sits in nicely. That's coming over. That's now giving me a place where I can put the magnet. I'm going to take the magnet off. We're going to drop that on where that glue spot was, and then I'm going to just put a bit of tape over that as well, and then that is our magnetic closure in. Okay, and hopefully, voila, I love that sound when it clicks. Okay, so for now the measurements I've given you are obviously to help you decorate your closure. So you've got bits for the front and the inside, and also the, you know, this side as well. Okay, so these are my two little pieces here. I've got, that one is going to come in on the inside, this one is going to be on the outside. So let's get our die machine and we're going to cut those. So let's do the inside of the flap first. What did I do with mine? No, I think that was the one I was using, wasn't it? Everything is such a mess on this table now. Anybody who knows me will know that I don't like working in a mess. Okay, right, and I'm just going to put that against that edge there, trying to sort of level that off as best I can, making sure that's relatively even. Just going to stick that on there, and I'm going to run that through. Okay, where did I put the other plate? Oh, there it is. Oh, okay, I'm going to pop that on there. I'm going to take that through. Okay, hopefully this is going to work. Right, so move that out of the way. So that is going to be the flat, and no, that's not cut it properly. Okay. Do you know what? I'm not going to worry about it. I'll just cut another bit of card later. Shall I put my covers on? Let's put my covers on. At least it will look fairly pretty with my covers on. Shall we just go with that? I think we'll just go with that, because honest to goodness, everything else is just going pear-shaped. Right. Okay. So this is my front cover, and I really like this because anybody who knows me knows I love Italy, and I loved that it's got the Italia in there. So this will make a really lovely album for when I go on holiday. I'm glad you are finding this funny, people. It's just, honestly, it is what it is, isn't it? Right. So I'm going to put some glue on the back. I've already inked and faux stitched these, okay, so that's going to sit on there, and again I'm just making sure I've got my 1/8 of an inch on the black coming round like so. There we are. So when that comes over that, oh, we've got magnets galore there now, get over there, that will go across like that. It will have the patterned paper on it, I promise. Let's stick this bit in on the side because I know that bit works. That bit will fit. Right, okay, I'm just going to stick that on. So that's on the edge like so. I'm just making sure that that is lining up. No, it's a little bit over. Let's bring that down just a fraction. Okay, I'll come over just a little wiggle bit. There we go. Right, that's on the outside. It's still slightly high. Let's take that down just a fraction. I'm determined to get one bit right tonight. Okay, right, there we go. Right, stick it down quick, Deb, before anything else happens. Oh dear, honest to goodness. Right, okay, I'm going to stick this bit in on the inside here because I know that will fit. And I'm just going to pop that in like so. There we go. Right, okay, and then, right, so that will come round like that, and then on the back, I love this because you've got like sort of like London on there and Rocky Mountains and a few other places on there, so it's a nice little travel. This paper is lovely, by the way. If you didn't catch last week, I mentioned that this is graphic 45. I believe it's called Come Away With Me. It's a range that they had out quite a while ago. I'm not sure whether you can still get it or not, but I do absolutely love this. I thought it's about time I used a little bit of graphic 45, and as always I'm going through my stash and I'm using up bits and pieces that I've got in here at the moment. However, our next album I've got which is our lovely holiday memory album, is I'm going to be using some not graphic 45, 45, some 49er market papers called Summer Porch, and I can't wait for you guys to see that album. So right, I'm just going to put on the spine like so. I'll just line that up, make sure that is nice and straight. Okay, so we are almost there. Do I chance doing this bit? Shall I do it? Shall I just go for it? Let's just go for it. So that really needs to sit right on that edge. We'll just try and make sure it's as straight when it goes through. I'm going to stick it through on the other die cut machine because I think when I put it through it might have wobbled it a little bit. So at least it will look nice on the outside and we won't worry too much about the inside. Right, okay. Stick that down. Right, like I said, I'm hoping everybody else is having a much better evening doing their things than I am. But we are almost done, I promise. We are almost done. Right, let's just whack that straight. There we go. Okay. Fingers fingers crossed this is going to fit, people. Let's... Near as damn it. I'm just going to snip a tiny little bit of that end off, I think, just to help it sit a little bit better. And that sort of evens it up a little bit. Okay, and that's gonna sort of sit on there like so. So I've got a bit of black edge going all the way round. Right, let's ink this. I am going to faux stitch this one though, I think, she says, but I haven't got my pen here now, so maybe not. We'll just stick it on and I can do that later. Okay, so at least we'll get to see what the album looks like from the outside, and that it's all pretty much done. And I can only apologise, those of you who weren't with me right at the very beginning. We lost the internet connection. It wasn't working properly. I had to abandon ship. I've had to come in here where the signal is a little bit stronger. And I couldn't get the camera set up properly. Yeah, so it's just been one of those evenings. But I think we've made it! Yay! Finally, honestly, all I can say is thank you so much to everybody who has been really patient watching me go through hell this evening trying to get this done. Well, I have a quick little preview. Now I've got some pockets. Now I know there are a couple of bits of cardstock that I haven't stuck down properly, but I'm going to do my finishing touches later. I think the way tonight's gone, I think we'll just suck it up and carry on. So the outside of my album, here we are. I mean, I do love the papers and the colours and everything else. And then when we open it up, you've got a little photo mats, okay, 3x4, 2x3. Here we've got a little tag. Now in the range of papers it had on the sheet the tag, so that's why I cut them out. I've got some nice little photo cards here, so just tuck a couple of those in. This is a little flap that lifts up. I've just put on their place photo here. This is our little acetate pocket, so that comes out and that reveals a nice picture underneath, so that just tucks back in. Okay, then on here we've got the little belly band. Okay, so again I've tucked a little photo mat in there. This will be the accordion page once I've decorated that, so I will put on here my photo mats and finish off my decorative papers. But we did manage to make our little magnetic clip, okay, which can sit just on there like so. Whoops, sorry, not the camera, apologies. And then, yeah, so you can sort of tuck little photo mats in, like 2 in there. This is the diagonal pocket. So again, I just need to realign and do that. So I've got a little tag that goes in there. There's another little photo mat in there. And then our end one, I know I need to re-stick it. I got fed up. I'll go back and do that. But when you do open it up, I love this bit. We'll just focus on this bit. Let's move that over. We'll just focus on this bit here. You know, explore, dream, discover. And then on the back here, we've got our stacked pockets again. So I've got a couple of little finishing touches to do. But that, she says, is our album done.